Welcome to Get Growing. Get Growing is a project of Vashon Island Growers Association, and we are all about helping you and supporting you and encouraging you to grow more stuff. Food is plant. Food, what was I going to say? Flowers, thank you. Herbs, anything, grow anything. I'm Vashon Bioenergy, and I own Vashon Farm and Kitchen.
I'm Michelle Crawford. I have Pacific Cottager Farm and Nursery.
I stopped filling here before I overfill, and I am filling this wonderful backpack sprayer with, come over here you two. We're here today at, where are we?
Vashon Bioenergy Farm.
And you are?
Sharup Kumar.
And I'm Paco Joyce.
And what do you two do here?
Oh, a whole lot of digestion. We're basically converting waste to resiliency in the process here with our community scale digester.
And what does that mean?
We're just taking local organic waste that would have been brought somewhere else in the system. We're fermenting it. We're capturing an organic renewable natural gas, and we're making a wonderful plant food that's wonderful for plants and flowers
And herbs. So where are we? What is one of the waste materials you use?
Well, the bread and butter here is really the okara and the whey coming out of the tofu plant. So they're generating a whole lot of great soy byproduct from their tofu process.
This is Island Springs Organics. They've been making tofu for about 35 years here on Vashon.
And they used to send the okara to farmers if they wanted it, but it was a very bulky, stinky product that had to be buried right away. And this is much cleaner and easier.
And this is a tank that will theoretically drive up to somebody's farm or yard.
Right, so two ways. If you're a small consumer getting 5 gallons or a gallon at a time, we have these self-fill stations throughout the island, and you can come, the country store has one now, Claudia's at Wild Roots has one.
Oh, cool.
So we're putting them closer to where you live, so very easy to fill up. You can get on our subscription service and fill up as much as you want during the season.
Is this like the self-fill?
It is.
And
Yeah,
how does somebody pay for it?
Also, we have a flora and fauna club that we've launched.
And Fauna Club.
Food for you, food for your plants is the idea. So we have a welcome box that we team up with farmers on, and we're also growing up top on the system here. So we have a farm box that then comes with unlimited plant food for the whole season, available at the filling stations.
Yep, and that's the club. If you're a larger producer needing larger volumes of the plant food, I can bring it to you. So I've got a fill truck here. We can bring about 275 gallons at a time. I can bring more too. Call me and we'll make arrangements.
Wow.
But it's a great setup and easy to get it to where it needs to get to.
So that if the farm is getting 275 gallons, how much does that feed? I know that's kind of an ambiguous question because everybody's needs are different. And how do they feed? Oh, this is how they feed.
Right, that's
That
one
one
way.
of these. This is a
Don't
backpack
spray
sprayer.
anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spray it. What I learned from Lisa and Chris at Forest Garden Farm is they do a foliar spray, right?
They do.
So they walk up and down their aisles and spray their plants.
Yep.
If I'm a backyard gardener and I have a 5-gallon bucket, would I do the same thing, or do I water in the ground? Does it matter?
You could do either, and we're learning potentially both might be beneficial.
Uh-huh.
If you're using it as like an irrigation blend, we're saying about 1 part of the product to about 3 or 4 parts of water. Blend it right into your fertigation lines
Uh-huh.
or hand applied. But the idea is every time you're watering, you're utilizing some product.
Is that to say this is a concentrate?
Right.
So even in my backpack sprayer, I'm still going to want to dilute this. Is that correct?
Yeah, right off the
Good.
tank.
I think Lisa and Chris, they might have gone full strength.
Woohoo!
For the foliar
They got
application.
really big squash!
They did
You're
say
going
they
to the
got,
fair with it.
they did say they got 30% increased growth from it.
So we're standing here with a filler upper here, and here, what's that machine there, or that thing?
Yeah, so this is part of the Vashon Bioenergy Farm. This specific tank is called our feed tank. And what's inside here is we take the okara, which is the spent soybean solids, and the whey, which is the liquid waste stream off the tofu. We combine them together to make a smoothie that's pumpable. And it sits in this tank, and then our digester will self-feed itself every 2 hours.
Can we see the digester?
We can see, yeah, as many parts as you want. Let me grab the keys.
While he's grabbing the keys, I have a question about, there's a barbecue standing here, and I have a feeling you don't just make lunch here while you're working, or you might. But tell us about the Bioenergy Farm gas tank there in relationship to a grill.
Sure, so what we're generating out of the digester, in addition to the plant food, is a gas, organic, renewable natural gas, orange. So we have orange tanks, and we have the acronym here, and this can fuel basically a propane substitute. So a grill that's running on propane, we'd like to swap that out. We have some testing to do to figure out how often we need to refill the tanks. The most exciting use for us, Karen, is the truck.
Yay!
We got a 1-ton truck here. It's a F350.
Come right over here. I want to show you something real quick.
Step right up!
So this truck has 2 tanks. There's a natural gas tank there and a gasoline tank as normal. So combined, I think Paco's getting close to 700 miles.
We can get about 700 miles to the, well, between the gas and the gasoline. But the great thing is you can run the truck off of natural gas, and this can just be your backup. So the idea is we'll bring it back, we'll fill it up after we make the gas in the system, and just keep this topped off.
If you'd like a sneak peek of the tank here.
Oh yeah. It's sticky.
So here we have a CNG tank, about 22-gallon equivalent for gasoline. They call it a gasoline gallon equivalent. So 22 plus, I think the normal tank's probably another 20.
Yeah.
So more than 42 gallons of fuel on board, and all of this is actually a carbon negative fuel, clean fuel. So we're capturing off the headspace in the system.
And how do you get to negative?
That's a great question, because it's about the life cycle, and we're finding out with regenerative farming and the fact that we're able to substitute fossil fuels and avoid the methane emissions from the actual food waste. If you add all those up around the entire loop, this becomes a net negative cycle. So we're removing more carbon from the atmosphere than we're actually generating in the process.
So I have a question about that. How far out is the average consumer from being able to have this? The average consumer on Vashon?
Yes, on Vashon, possible today.
Really?
You can convert any vehicle practically with a conversion kit. So there's certified converters like we sent this truck to, and then you can actually get 2 tanks. It's called a bi-fuel vehicle. So you can convert practically any vehicle to be bi-fuel.
Gasoline or diesel.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It's still a little pricey for that conversion kit. So the next best thing, until we're all driving something like this, is to convert vehicles that are used often, so like a school bus, convert it over to natural gas. Then you're able to make your own fuel on the island, generate enough to, and get that moving. The other option is we're in the process of building a rental fleet. So we'll have the natural gas vehicles here available for rental. So you can rent a truck, rent a commuter car, take it off island, and be totally net negative on your carbon.
Right. That's the super exciting part.
Yeah.
This is a vehicle capable of hauling around a couple tons.
It's a Ford 350. You can carry a lot of stuff.
So that this can be done at medium duty, heavy duty, or even light duty vehicles.
It will always require that tank in the bed, correct?
Correct. Depending on the vehicle, it can be placed in different spots. But for this one, it is in the back. It's just easiest to put it there.
How excited are you two about this project? The whole project?
This much. I am so excited.
Basically a dream come true. This is something we've been working on for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Getting the commissioning process off the ground.
And the wonderful thing about this whole setup is we're kind of like a test bed. We're testing it out. We're trying to figure out the best way to do this. And then this can move to every community in the world and offset carbon or carbon-rich fuels that you're getting from the ground from petroleum, and getting great plant food for the local farms that are using it.
Can we see that digester?
Yes. So in the beginning, Island Springs Tofu is making tofu from organic soybeans, and they process it in their plant. It gets ground up, they make the tofu. The solids that are left over are called okara, and the watery leftovers are called whey. They start coming out of the building, and we capture that, put it into our receiving tank, and it blends the two so it makes it really pumpable. And we follow and we pump it into our tanks.
We have a feed tank here on the far left that slowly gets dosed into the actual digester as it gets hungry throughout the day. And the product also, after about 30 days, gets finished and filled into these ones. Silos right here, about 5,000 gallons.
Plant food ready to go.
Ready for the farm.
So after it's in the tanks, we'll show you the control room and the digester. Yeah, this whole Vashon Bioenergy Farm is basically a big mechanical cow. And the feed tank here is your mouth. So you're getting the food all ready to feed this. And so the system knows how to feed itself every 2 hours out of this tank. So come on in and let's take a look at how that happens. This is our control room. And inside here we have pumps and timers, and they all have different functions. But so a couple of these, what they do is they keep all of our tanks agitated so they're stirred up so nothing settles out, gets them all ready to go. This one here is our feed pump, and so you can set the timers on all these depending on what you're feeding it, but this one we're feeding, it feeds itself every 2 hours for 60 seconds, and then it turns off. And so this way, lots of little meals are better for digesters than one big meal.
That's what they say about us, too.
They do, and chew your food. So the great thing is about the okara is it's already been chewed for us. It's ready to go. It's like baby food. But other installations get raw materials that you have to grind up. And so we have here a test model of a grinding station, and it's just an incinerator, what we used to call garbage disposals on your sink. But it's not garbage. You can totally use it. So incinerators, you put it in, it grinds it all up, and it's ready to go into the digester.
Are you using anything other than okara at this time?
At this time, we aren't. The benefits of that is since the okara and the tofu is certified organic, that means our plant food now is certified organic, and our natural gas is certified organic, which is, it's a whole new way of thinking about fuel for cars, for burning for electricity, that if you can make something that's organic, local, it's much, much better for the planet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then on this side, we have different controllers, so it's really a great time for these kind of systems where they're smart enough with temperatures and levels of it being able to regulate and manage itself, even if it's a very large installation.
So this says not.
Sharoop might have a good explanation for that.
At the end, these are all biomimicking systems. Our base system is called a HORSE, and that's an acronym for High Solids Organics Recycling System with Electrical Output. And that's a little stretch. So this time we went a little more simple. Nautilus, it's not an acronym, but it does signify the various stomachs. So there are multiple caverns, or like a cow has 3 or 4 stomachs. They're basically, I think, 3 stomachs here. It's going from one tank to another to another. Kind of like the caverns of a nautilus.
Right, so the horse size is typically in a container about this big, a 20-foot shipping container. So it's very mobile. It's for a smaller installation. The nautilus is a larger size, so depending on what you're feeding it or how close you are to your waste stream, your feedstock, you would size your equipment accordingly.
Okay, so after it's digested, where do all these pipes go to?
Right, so, well, some of these pipes are keeping the tanks agitated, some are pumping. So what we do is I'll show you the next 2 tanks, but we have 2 main stomachs, and it ferments in tank number 1 for 15 days, and then it spills over to tank number 2 for 15 days. So it's about 30 days inside the system. What we do then is the microbes in digester 2 are more mature. They've been eating and consuming and reproducing, but they really know how to eat that okara. And so what we do is we'll pump a little bit of that back into tank 1 to kind of re-inoculate that tank. So we're doing a pump over. And what happens is it's really cool. We pump it into digester 1, and then it will just gravity displace back down the line. And then once it's done in tank number 2, it will self-displace out to the feed tank. So that's all by gravity. So we don't have to do any pumping for that.
Okay, then from here it goes back out?
It goes back out. So this is kind of the brain of the system. I can show you the actual stomachs. So we'll go in there. And it's toasty in there. It's usually about 90, 95 degrees. So it's around the corner here.
Tight in there. All right. We'll let the camera lady go in.
Yeah, so this is the vault gallery. And these are the 2 tanks. Another cool thing is we're taking frac tanks, so these are used in the oil industry. We're repurposing them into making this biogas and plant food. And so you can roll these into position, hook them up with some pipes, and get ready to go. So this Impact Bioenergy designed this system, and it's meant to be very modular and very placeable. So you can put these on roofs, you can put them inside your facility, outside. Since we're in the northern climate, and this is like a mechanical cow, these have to stay warm. The microbes like to be about body temperature. And so that's where we have a little building around this, and it's the insulation to keep this warm inside. The benefit of that is then we were able to go up on top and build a greenhouse on top of this facility. So now you can make your plant food, grow the plants upstairs, and come back around.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go up and see the greenhouse.
We can.
Welcome to the upstairs greenhouse at the Bioenergy Farm. What have we got in here?
Yeah, come on in and we'll tell you all about it. So up here we've got 9 growing beds. We have a growing system called the Socks Box, which is a portable, easy way to manage soil for like urban or spaces you typically might not grow in. You can put them on rooftops and blacktop, parking lots, things like that. But for us, it's a great way of being able to run trials. And here, we'll show you what some of the socks look like.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you don't want me to donate my old socks to you for the sock box?
No, but you could grow in them. And
In
then
my
you'd call
socks?
them the Karen Biondo socks method. But so in each one of these beds, we have 6 of these socks, and we have space for each plant. And so it's kind of a blend between soil growing and hydroponic, where you're able to help control some of the humidity and the rate of application of plant foods, things like that.
So tell us the relationship between what's going on downstairs and what's going on up here.
So the idea is to enhance soil all over the island and the community with the plant food. Plant food gives more life to the soil, hence the probiotic plant food. And so once you're utilizing it, the microbial diversity in the soil will shoot through the roof, and you're basically creating these recycling systems in the soil. So I guess the root system and these microbes will actually exchange exudates from the roots and then recycled content, because they're consuming those exudates, the microbes, and then they provide some nutrients back to the root system. So in the end, we're enhancing the soil health and creating a lot more diversity in the soil to keep the plants happy.
Happy plants taste better, don't they, Michelle?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
This is kind of like our little laboratory. We're able to run different methods and applications. So do we put it on as a foliar? Do we feed the roots? Do we compare it to water? We're able to see pretty quickly the benefits of the plant food and put numbers to it. Yeah.
Let's bring this down to our backyard gardener, who might not have 9 beds. These are what, 4x8 beds? And so if I am Teresa Phelan, for instance, who has a lovely backyard garden of raised beds on a much smaller scale, this plant food is for her too, and for all of us who have backyard gardens. Is that true?
It is. And the benefit too is you could use it just for the container garden on your deck or in your windowsill. So it's used for any plant that's growing out there.
Excellent. Shall we exit the greenhouse? Because it's hot.
It's toasty, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me the exponential results of using foliar spray.
So with Forest Garden Farm, Lisa, Chris, and team, they had done about 5 applications last fall. And over that time, about 12 weeks, they saw a 30% boost in their squash. And that's compared to business as usual using fish emulsion and compost tea. So side by side, mirror image trial, and it was on brand new land that they haven't planted on before.
Cool.
And so over time, that's a full strength foliar,
Yep.
5 times.
Full strength, not diluted.
Right, full
Okay.
strength.
Okay.
And it wasn't much per application, maybe a gallon only.
So that's the squash. Tell me about the basil, because I have a question about the basil.
Yeah, and the basil, those were root applications.
Ah.
And we had different growing media.
Uh-huh.
Hydroton was one of them, which is basically a clay type of media, and soil. And so we had compared Hydroton and soil with water and with a blended product.
Okay.
And it turned out the soil with the blended product at about 1 part product to 4 parts water, so about 20% dilution, that performed 10 times better than the baseline soil with water.
And we did this by weight, of weighing out each of the plants.
Well, I'm going to be trying it on my tomatoes this year. I have an 60, how big is my greenhouse? 60-foot greenhouse. Half of it is tomatoes, so it's going to get a foliar application. The other half is basil, and it's going to get a soil application. How'd I do?
You're gonna do half and half?
Half and half what?
Trial it.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah.
See the results?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh, now I need an assistant.
And I want to know how you thought of it. Like, are you guys that thought of it?
Well, no, we're actually not the founders of Impact Bioenergy. It was Jan Allen. He spent about 40 years in the industry in organics recycling. So Jan has designed compost facilities and anaerobic digestion facilities, and it just came down to decentralization. You know, the market was asking for it. So he spun off Impact Bioenergy in 2013. 2014 is when we started a project with Zero Waste Vashon. So we looked at the feasibility of the island having their own digester. That dovetailed into a grant program with King County, DNRP, the Recycling and Environmental Services, which then dovetailed into another grant application for the Clean Energy Fund. So we were able to get State of Washington, Department of Commerce, Clean Energy Fund to back the project, and the Sustainable Energy Trust to provide a mortgage. So we have a mortgage on the system, and we have a grant to help us get along. So we've been commissioning.
And you're a model for the whole state.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a
And the
community
country.
skill.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
Right,
anywhere,
right.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The vision is any community can do this. You know, any community can act like an island.
Uh-huh.
You know, sourcing locally. Question is just demonstrating it.
Right.
And an interesting thing that I only came to a little while ago was you can put in as much solar or renewable energies out there, but you're still always going to have organic waste, and you don't want to truck it around. So that's where a system like this will keep it local, give you more energy to be a self-sufficient solution, and
And be
just
carbon
deal with it.
negative.
And
Yeah,
be carbon
that's
negative.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the big baseball. What is the big baseball?
Yeah, so the dome, even though it looks fully inflated, it's actually a double bag. So the exterior bag is just for weather, so it's always inflated to full. Inside there's a second bag, and it holds raw biogas. So as the digesters burp and do their thing, we collect that methane and put it into the dome. Once it's there, you can burn it for hot water or make electricity with it. But if you want to use it in something a little bit more refined, we'll send it through the refinery here, and it purifies the methane up to about 96-97% purity.
Wow.
And now it's considered natural gas that we can then fill up our vehicles, and that's where we'll put that pressurized gas into the white tank, and then over there we have a fueling station. So you just pull your car right up, hook up the hose, fill it up with natural gas, and away you go.
Excellent.
That's so amazing.
So is there anything that we've forgotten to ask you that you want to be part of this video so that people on the island can understand what you're doing and how they can access it?
Yeah. Well, one component of it is this is a small test installation. The island has many more resources for organic feedstocks. All the restaurants, housing, breweries, right? Wineries. Anybody that's generating an organic waste stream, instead of putting it into the recycling in the transfer station and shipping it off the island, we want to capture those and get as much use of it and use it on island. So ideas are in the works of maybe combining with, say, a composting facility here on the Vashon, putting in some larger units at, say, the transfer station. Because the thing is these will consume meat products, plant products, anything that's organic. The microbes inside it can consume it. And so if you had, say, a couple different streams, you could put meat products in one, restaurant waste in another, and keep them separated. And that way you're getting a much more pure plant food and products from that stream.
And the school district is one thing where, we would love to close the loop on the farm to school pipeline that's being built. So it would basically go farm to school, back to farm eventually.
Right.
With partners like Matsuda Farm and the other growers. So in the end, this is basically waste to resiliency, teaming up more, connecting up more, and doing more with our resources.
But in a great interim, until we have the perfect world, signing up for the Flora and Fauna Club, getting and using local plant foods will be a huge help to getting these programs off their feet and into the mainstream.
Totally. Just like a community-supported farm, right? This is
Right.
a community-supported bioenergy farm. And that's what we're going for, at least. So,
Who else is on your team? There's Sharu and Paco. And who else is part of your team right here on Vashon?
Oh, yeah. Tammy, Paco and Tammy team up.
Tammy's driving right up right now.
Oh, voila, in the mommy van.
Yeah.
She's a rock star on her social
Yeah.
media side.
Great.
But Jan Allen, our president.
We have a few others on. Michael Smith, he's out here weekly. He's helping a lot with business development. And then, of course, the rock stars on the building side, Taylor and Tim.
Yep.
They've done amazing work adapting the system and building this from scratch with reused things and sourced locally.
And our local Drew, expert on all things agricultural.
soil scientist. He's got his PhD, and call him Dr. Drew because he knows more about. He lives in Woodinville, but he's on island.
He's visiting today.
There's Tammy.
Yeah, and here's Tammy.
This is Tammy. What is a bunch of guys without a girl involved?
Gotta have a lady on the team.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we are here at the end. Good timing, Tammy. I want to thank everybody who has helped us do all of this, and we wouldn't be here without the generous support of Vashon Island Growers Association.
Right.
And we want to encourage, Get Growing, we want to encourage everybody to consider some probiotic food for even your, as Paco said, even your deck container, right?
Yep.
And you can contact probiotic food at how?
VashonBio.energy. That's the website, VashonBio.energy. Of course, we have our Facebook and Instagram handles as well that hopefully through there you'll be able to purchase products soon too.
And I'm looking forward to getting my 105 gallons soon.
Yes.
I got an inflatable tank. I think it's going to inflate when you put stuff in it, yes? We'll see.
Some assembly required.
Oh, man! Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Jennifer Hawk, for enduring all of this and editing like a champion.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Bye!